answer too quickly. Why did your brain miss the solution to such a simple question? Let's hear again from Scott Barry Kaufman, cognitive scientist at NYU.
The reason why the Moses Ark question gives people so much trouble is because they automatically start searching their biblical database of knowledge.
I heard the boat with the animals, and I didn't even think of the name.
I think it's often important to realize that we have to put the brakes on that automatic process sometimes, and what they really need to do is engage their executive attention network and look at the finer details of the question itself.
I should definitely pay more attention to the detail of the wording before I answer.
This kind of oversight happens all the time, like when you pour salt in your coffee instead of sugar, or when you drive through a stoplight, or when you miss a $256 charity deduction on your taxes.
So how do you strengthen your concentration and catch these kinds of mistakes? Well, sometimes the answer is simply to slow down and give yourself the time you need to take in the details. Want to give it a try with this next puzzle? Okay, listen closely.
This is Lily the lily pad. Lily is going through an adolescent growth spurt. Every day she doubles in size. On day 20, she takes up the entire pond. On what day does she take up half the pond? Take your time and give the game the concentration it requires. Got your answer? Okay, the correct response is 19. Is that what you thought? Or did you guess 10? If you did, you're not alone. 50% of the people we surveyed guessed 10 as well. Here's the explanation. If Lily doubled every day, she'd go from half the size of the pond to the full size of the pond between the 19th and 20th days. For those of you who guessed 19, congratulations. You were able to slow down your brain and give it the time it needed to focus on the specifics. Sometimes it's helpful to sweat the small stuff. We mean sweating figuratively. But guess what? Literally sweating helps concentration too. Research shows that physical exercise, like martial arts, which integrates your body and mind, can help you concentrate and generate new ideas. Now that's some full body fitness. So far, you've stretched and sweated to benefit your brain's flexibility and concentration. Get ready to feel the burn of your mental workout as we take a look at memory. At the beginning of the show, we told you to remember any names that you heard. Here are a few faces you might recognize. Can you remember their names? For those of you drawing a blank, we have a tool that will make these the last names you ever forget. We bet you remembered this one first. But how about the other two? Not so easy, right?
New names are difficult for your brain to remember, and there's a reason for it. When you first hear a new name, your brain hasn't made the connection yet to its owner.
When you're trying to remember information, the easiest way to do it is to create as many pathways in the brain as possible. Not just create and lay down these pathways, but also create connections between them.
Lily is a lily pad, so you can connect her name to her image and store it quickly with the words that define her identity. For the other two, it's trickier. Her name is Susan.
I'm Susan.
And hers is Gia.
I'm Gia.
Hi, Gia.
So how could you store their names in your memory?
One of the best ways to remember names is to use what are called mnemonics. Mnemonics are rhythms, rhymes, and patterns which help your brain connect two unrelated ideas.
For instance, to help remember Susan, you might recall that she solved the Moses-Noah question.
I guess it was Noah that was asked, not Moses.
So you might remember her as Susan with the solution.
By repeating the S and U sounds in Susan and solution, you form a word pattern that links to an action and thereby to the person Susan.
And Gia was introduced as one of our creative geniuses.
Gia sounds a lot like genius. So you could call her Genius Gia. Again, making a pattern of sounds. And the phrase itself relates directly to something you know about Gia.
The connections you can create for yourself are endless, so have fun. Want another easy trick to remember names? Okay, pay attention. Listen up. Try to remember these 4 names.
Tanya. Jeanette. Heather.
Got them? Can you remember them for the next few seconds? We're going to make it a little bit harder by confusing your brain with some additional random names. Jennifer, Amy, Renee, Megan, Donna, Lynn. Okay, now recall the names of the 4 women you just met. How did you do? Chances are good you've forgotten at least 2. Now let's give you another task. This time you're going to have to remember another 4 names. But this time we're going to give you a jingle that may be familiar to help you out.
Have you heard this one before?
Ever notice how a catchy song can stick in your brain? Well, you can benefit from that by using those tunes as memory aids. Now hear how we use that melody to help remember these next 4 names.
Rachel, Devin, Laura, Anne. Rachel, Devin, Laura, Anne.
Go ahead, sing along.
Rachel, Devin, Laura, Anne.
Now, using the tune, see if you can remember those 4 names while we try to confuse you with more random names. Jennifer, Amy, Renee, Megan, Donna, Lynn.
Okay, now sing them back.
Did you get all of them this time? If you're like 70% of our audience, you did a lot better this time. Because music is a scientifically proven way to boost memory. And you can pick any tune you like. The technique of using a little song or rhyme to help you remember a set of information is known as mnemonics. This clever technique is used by radio DJs to help you remember the call-in number, medical students to keep track of bones and muscles, or insurance companies to highlight your brand.
When we combine different sensory modalities, like a name or number, with a song or rhythm, what we're doing is we're making connections between these pathways in the brain.
Now you have all the tools you need to take the Total Mental Fitness Challenge. Are you ready? Scott Barry Kaufman is setting up another game to challenge your flexibility, concentration, and memory. No, we're not forcing you to gym class. You can take this test right from your living room.
This is a simple game, really. All you have to do is tie 2 ropes together. The problem is, these 2 ropes don't easily reach each other. So that's going to require you to come up with a creative solution. You have a chair, a paint can, and a pair of pliers that you can use to solve this problem.
Take a second and consider what you would do. Tie this 1.5 meter rope to this 1 meter rope. Keep trying as these college students also take on the challenge.
You understand what you have to do? I got you. Tie the ropes together? Yeah.
You can't reach both ropes from the floor, but simply standing on the chair won't help. You're going to have to get creative.
I'm going to tie a chair.
Okay.
Seem impossible? We assure you, it can be done.
Yes, that'll work.
Do you feel like giving up too? Well, before you do, let's find out what might be standing in your way.
When you're trying to think of uses for the objects in the room, you have a hard time thinking of a use that you haven't encountered in your lifetime.
You're not born knowing what a paint can is, but over time, you form associations, such as what a paint can looks like and how it works. Object association is an activity that takes place in a region of the temporal lobe.
If we can prime people to think of a can of paint in a completely different way, that can really help us solve the problem instantly.
So, how does this apply to the ropes challenge and the objects provided? First, you have to add weight to one rope to create a pendulum. What can you use for weight? Here's where that creative thinking comes in handy.
You got very close. You're very close.
Swing the paint can pendulum. Then, while holding onto the other rope, stand on the chair and catch the pendulum as it swings in your direction. With the ends of the ropes now in close proximity, you can release the paint can and tie the ropes.
I've never used a paint can as a pendulum before. This is the first time.
Congratulations on completing the Total Mental Fitness Challenge. The 2 ropes problem requires your concentration to slow down and take in the details, and your mental flexibility to stretch and find a creative solution. And now, deception specialist Tyler Roberts has a game for you, which is the ultimate test of the
They help jog your memory. Do you see the 3-digit number you're supposed to remember? If you've been paying attention, you'd know that none of these are the right answer. That's the funny thing about Jason. He's always one step ahead. This whole episode, he's been trying to burn these numbers into your brain.
catch where we hid that number throughout the show?
Remember, your brain is a lot like a muscle. You either use it or lose it.
Det var gruopvækkende opfindelser, som ændrede måden at føre krig på for altid. At vinde 2. verdenskrig på slagmarken gennem teknologisk overlegenhed. Det var Hitlers drøm for det 3. rige. National Geographic Channels banebrydende serie er tilbage og afslører endnu flere af Hitlers ambitiøse planer om verdensherredømme. Nazi-megakonstruktioner. Fredag kl. 22 på Nat Geo.
Et sted syd for grænsen. Ja, jeg er kasttester den nye I-20 med mine 2 kleine brødre. Så må det godt dokumentere. Plads mangler der ikke.
Nu skal vi som der I-20 med lidt mere plads. For kun 120.000.
There are 2 kinds of pain. Sort of pain that makes you strong, or useless pain. Sort of pain that's only suffering. I have no patience for useless things.
Når jeg arbejder, så skal det gøres ordentligt. Så jeg bygger ikke bare huse. Jeg bygger hjem. Der er folk, der skal bo i dem.
Til alle jer, der gør det ordentligt, har vi lige nu havemulighed til kun 2.999 og en Gudmo plæneklipper til 2.599. Excelbyg gør det ordentligt.
Der er dem, som køber den nye faceliftede Rio for dens frejde design. Som forelsker sig i de bløde kurver og lækre detaljer. Som drømmer om at give den gas på snoede bjergveje i solnedgangen. Med åbne vinduer og med vind i håret. Og så er der dem, der køber en Rio for 7 års garanti. Brændstoføkonomien og de gode køreegenskaber. Om du køber en Rio af den ene eller den anden grund, så får du lige nu en udstyrspakke til 20.000 kroner oven i handlen. Det gælder også den ordentlige Kia Venga. Her får du ekstra udstyr for 24.000.
This is my brother from another mother. And another father.
Ja, brødrelej med Freelike Home kan I holde kontakten og bruge mobilen på skiferien i Frankrig, Østrig, Italien, Norge og Sverige, uden det koster ekstra. Køb senest 31. marts, så får du fri tale, 3 GB data og Freelike Home for kun 130 kroner per måned.
Ain't nothing but a 3 thing, baby.
Øje for idéer. Hvad der gør dit firma til noget særligt, kommer til live med det perfekte visitkort. Med klare farver, et personligt touch og et stort udvalg i papir og finish, får du et kort, som viser præcis, hvem du er. Gå ind på vistaprint.dk og få 100 visitkort for kun 60 kroner plus en gratis holder.
De sejeste mænd i slæbebranchen er tilbage. Og udvider deres forretning til endnu mere berygtede og farlige territorier. Et nyt område. En ny udfordring. Og endnu en vej til helvede. En ny sæson af Hovedvejen gennem helvede. Torsdag kl. 21 på Nat Geo.
Take a look at these 3 suspects. Pay close attention to the movement of their eyes. Here's the question. Which one do you think is lying?
I did not take the money. I did not take the money.
I did not take the money.
Got your answer? You probably think you know who the most likely liar is. But you're 100% wrong. Don't believe me? Stick around to find out. This is a show about your brain and lying. We're about to test your ability to tell fact from fiction.
It's really hard to tell. Yeah.
As we put you through games and experiments designed to teach you how often we lie
That's That's what it looks like when you lie.
Why we lie,
I'm not a crook.
and what goes on in our brains that allows us to stretch the truth in the first place. You might even pick up a few tricks that will help you spot a lie.
I counted all the pieces.
If you want to get to the truth about lying,
What I told you was all true.
play along on Brain Games. It's something you likely do every day. And whether it's telling a little white lie or a full-on betrayal, your brain is built to know when tweaking the truth could be beneficial.
When it comes to lying, we all do it. Well, maybe not me. I would never tell a lie. While we all have our reasons and justifications, the simple fact remains. Sometimes your brain would rather rationalize a lie than tell the honest truth. Think about how many times you've told a lie to spare someone's feelings.
But you might be surprised to learn just how often we lie. Studies tell us that 60% of people you meet will tell you 2 or 3 lies in the first 10 minutes of conversation.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're not one of those people. Personally, I would never lie to someone I just met. But while we like to think of ourselves as truth tellers, the truth is, many of us are lying to ourselves.
But how can you tell when someone else is lying to you? Let's take another look at the 3 faces. Which one did you think was the most likely to be lying? Got your answer? More than 7